right, hey there, Sam back with you here on Monday at November 5th, kind of middle of the day, and keeping the theme here tied to Bitcoin. We're going to look at Bitcoin Cash here. There's been some news here with the Coinbase news, so I've got it up here of Bitcoin Cash to the dollar on GDAX, and yeah, I thought I would just show you the range here that's fairly well established. Now, we look here, we're going to get over to the hard rate edge, but pretty sustained downtrend. Now, one thing we can note here is that this series of lower lows and lower highs is potentially now resolved down here with a, we'll call it a double bottom, although it's been tested multiple times. So that's why I was wicking off this prior low here that seems to be kicking in for some support. So here's the low, tested again here, and looks like it may be coming back in, and then I've just wicked off the absolute low here of this sell-off. So if we relate that now to where we are, let's zoom in here, see what we've got here. So let me pop this up here and get some, I think it's always good to get that perspective. So you'll note that I've got a median line on here. Now let's just tighten it up since I just changed time frames. Often the case that you'll need to tighten here. So you know, you wouldn't call that a corner pocket necessarily because of the depth of the retracement, although technically you could still play it that way. So the odds are reached here, right? So we get our 80% probability is damn near to the tick. So, right, so you know, trying to dig out a count out of that, let's just call it something impulsive. I mean, yeah, you can get a 5 wave in there. You can catch maybe extension in the 5th, but it's just so premature to really. It's something, right? We've got something impulsive, even if you just use your oscillator here. Okay, so something impulsive happened. I'm not ready to call this a 3, 4, something. All right, let's see what happens at the first test of the 50. We can see here now, since we've tagged that median line, and we're getting that reaction that seems to be affecting the market, and then we have this. Oh, I guess you can. If I scrunch this up here, here's that prior low that maybe continues to be a problem. But there's a reasonable trade here. So if we look at this first 50, then you'd have to be thinking, okay, maybe that's a 1. Now if I go down to let's go to the 30 minutes. So I've got a little corrective structure here. It's very shallow, so maybe we've got maybe something along these lines. Ideally you'd catch it at the 50 if this is going to be a 1-2. It's not great structure if we dig in there so far. So looking here, this, you know, the 3 is good, but we're shallow of where you'd want to see it. So this, pardon me, what proposed A wave. So you'd have to allow. You know, you're kind of making exceptions to accommodate the price action. This does not look corrective. Now, the other possibility is here, this is not finished yet. So we might, what do I want here? So you might, your B wave, you might have something like this still yet going in that could take it down here. So maybe this is just, it's too shallow to really think that this is done. I suppose if you were calling this the 3rd and this was the 4, you could make a case that this was maybe the 1-2. But again, I just don't love it, right? So I certainly don't love it enough to trade it. So I wouldn't recommend any members or anyone following on YouTube that there's just not enough there yet to warrant a trade. Now, shit, man, you could buy it and maybe you make some money. It's just, it would be a. It's just not, there's nothing technically there to really lean into. Or so maybe if we come to the 38 here and we catch the Vegas wave, maybe, but I'd really prefer to see, this is me, I'd prefer to see it come down, test the 50 and see what kind of reaction we get there. Can we get this algo that'll be here, swing low, swing high, we know an algo will be there, to kick in here and give us some drive higher? Then maybe we're rethinking what kind of count we have here. This is it's just a roll of the dice. We're 1, 2, 3, 4 extension in the 5, maybe this is, maybe you've got this, although the subdivision isn't great. Maybe you've got 3, 4 going for 5. I mean, it's possible. But you're digging a 1 out of that kind of tough. You'd have to allow for a very shallow 2nd, big 3rd. I mean, is it possible? Yeah. Would I trade it? Hell no. Not even close. I wouldn't even think about it until I get more definition here. So you can do this. So maybe we get something along these lines if we're going to get a little channel here. So maybe you come down here for the 50. I would not be buying this as a 4. I'd prefer to trade this as a 1-2. So maybe you'd have to trade it thinking the 3. Oh, you know, you're really digging, if you're really stretching a little bit to try and call this a 3, 4, 5. Is it possible? Yeah, it's possible. Is it probable? Well, it's not enough for me to risk any money there, and I wouldn't make that recommendation to any of my members, but it's one to be watching. At least we had some traction here. What's our low down here? 406, call it 407. We got a 100-point swing, right? We got up to 507. All right, it's something, right? I not ready to call the low in and we're off to the races here, but it is interesting that we've got a double bottom. All right, we've yet to get to this pretty substantial resistance here, so there may be another push here. If this is going to come down and we get that, well, then you'd lean more into this as a 4. If we bounce at the 38, then maybe we have this. But right, you know, it's just not enough yet to really warrant a trade. You know, it's not. You don't have to worry about missing something. If that, again, we're at 30-minute. Think about where we've come from. Or if you pull out here on this, okay. So if that's a 1, just think about where we've got to go. So if I go swing high to swing low, well, there's the 50 right there. I've got Wolf on that. Well, we know that's a 50. So first thing we're going to run it, we got to get through the 50, right? Because we know damn well there'll be an algorithm starts selling there. So I wouldn't be worried about, oh shit, man, I may have missed the turn in Bitcoin Cash. You've got if this does complete, there's going to be a retrace, so that'll be your next opportunity. So my view is, why force anything down here? It's not good enough yet. Right, just not good enough. Could it be there? Yeah. Do you want to risk money on that? I don't. Maybe if this shapes, well, then I'll look at it as, well, okay, I've got a completed 1 wave. It's kind of ugly, but at least I can get a motive wave. I'm done. So what's next? Next, let's wait for the ABC to take us down to the 50. There's your buy with a little more confidence. I'd wait for that. What's the hurry? We've got $100. Great. All right. It's better than nothing. But let's let this thing shape and then wait for the retrace where we can be more definitive, where we can get more combination of pattern, price, a little more clarity on the time. And of course, if we were to get that, then we could draw up some median lines on this. So if we got something like that, now you're putting a trade together. This, you know, what are you playing there? FOMO? Oh, shit, man. I don't want to miss that. It's starting to move. Well, right, again, as I said, you're not missing much, right? You got $100 so far. Wait for this. That's just a smarter way to approach it. You're not missing much. What are we buying there? 500. So what's our low? You know, again, if you go up and complete here, you're looking to be a buyer at 500. The low was, call it 400. So you left $100 on the table. I wouldn't worry too much about that. If it's really going to be the start of something, that $100 will be just a blip. If we're going to go, how about that, right? Now we're up at 700. All right, are you worried about that 100? You didn't get the absolute low? Probably not. All right, guys, don't force anything. Let crypto shape itself here. There's plenty of upside here, so not a time to be forcing a trade just because you're jonesing for it. If you're looking for a trade, there's not much in crypto. Start looking at some Forex. All right, guys, that's it for now.